Good morning, this is Josh at Mass Gunworks here in the shop. I was getting ready to do a couple things and I'm going to take a minute and shoot a video and just share some updates with you. I got myself a new tool post the other day. This is a legit Aloris BXA. I had a original multi-fix that I got a hold of, and I used it for a year and just decided I wanted to go back to an Aloris. I don't really have a lot of other reasons other than this is something I enjoy using more. The other tool post was great. It was just, I felt like it was a little big. I'm not able to reproduce the tool holders myself because of how they're made. They have precision ground surfaces. I don't have that capability. And I like owning things that I can reproduce parts for because it cuts down on my cost, and it's fun. So one of the things that I'm getting into today is I am remounting a bead sight on a shotgun barrel. I had a customer come to me and he wanted his shotgun barrel shortened, and because of that we need to remount the bead sight. So a quick thing about firearms modification. So there are certain rules that you need to make sure that you stay within when you're modifying a firearm. Okay. When a firearm is produced, it is designated a serial number, and that manufacturer puts that serial number on that firearm, and that firearm is forever classified by what it was serialized as. Okay, so for instance, if I have a Savage bolt action rifle, okay, and I want to turn that into a pistol, all right, I need to make sure that I purchase a Savage bolt action weapon that has been manufactured as a pistol and serialized as a pistol. It is not legal for me to just take a rifle, chop the barrel down to 12 inches and put a pistol brace on it and call it a pistol. Okay, that's a no-no. I don't understand why, but it is. I, as a FFL Type 7 who has the license to manufacture weapons and serialize them, that's potentially something that I could do for someone else. I believe that's within my wheelhouse, but that's something that I would definitely contact my personal ATF agent that I have the ability to contact and ask questions and be like, hey, can I do this? Is this okay? And when I say personal ATF agent, they don't have one allocated to me. They just have one allocated to my area, and I have their contact information. And if I have questions or concerns, I'm able to call them and ask them questions. That being said, so shotguns. There's been a new thing within the last 5 to 7 years. Some manufacturers have been coming out with shotguns that have barrels that are like 14 inches long, and they have a pistol brace on them, and they're cool. It's a non-NFA item, okay? That being said, I cannot just go buy a Mossberg, chop the barrel down, put a pistol brace on it, do the same thing. I cannot legally purchase an AR-15 that has been classified and serialized as a rifle, put a pistol length upper on it, and then put a pistol brace on it called a pistol. Okay, I'm reclassifying a weapon without proper licensing, voodoo or whatever. Sidebar, that's also why a lot of manufacturers have gone to classifying their lowers as multi and not rifle or pistol. It's a way to get around that. I understand it's all semantics, but it is what it is. These are the rules we have to play by, and as long as we color within the lines, nobody goes to jail. It's just how I look at it. So that being said, with rifles, Minimum barrel length is 16 inches. Okay, that is not measured from the outside of the barrel. That's measured from the inside of the barrel. So the proper way to measure that is to take a rod, drop it down the barrel until it hits the abutment, okay, or the back end of the bolt face. Sorry, that'd be the front end of the bolt face, back end of the chamber. You mark it, you pull it out, you measure it. It's got to be at least 16 inches. Shotguns, I believe the measurement is 18 inches, and I believe the overall measurement for rifles, shotguns, any long gun is 26 inches in length. So you have to have your minimum barrel length, and you also have to meet the minimum overall weapon length for it to be a non-NFA item and for it to be legal to you for you to possess or purchase without a tax stamp. Okay, those are some basics. If you have questions, feel free to email me. I have some resources that I can direct you to. The ATF is always pretty cool about answering questions if people have questions. Most of the time they're not out to get you. They just want to make sure that you're, staying within the bounds of the laws that exist. Okay. In the inverse of that, if you concretely know something that disagrees with what I say, please let me know. Okay, I'm just a dude out here making videos. I'm not some sage wisdom expert, all that kind of stuff. So if you're privy to some information, if you're a lawyer, if you work for the ATF and you happen to have firsthand knowledge of these things, if you're an FFL Type 7 who is a little more educated than I am, please post something in the comments. Hold me accountable to giving proper information, because the last thing I want to do is give you guys bad information. Okay. Disclaimer aside, what we have here is a H&R shotgun barrel. This could also be like a New England Firearms name your single shot. Okay, so we've cut the barrel down to 20 inches of length, still legal length, and I need to spot drill and tap, put in a new bead sight. On our setup, I'm doing this in the milling machine because I have one. Might as well use it. What I've done is I have gripped the surface that the barrel mounts to. So this is going to be the truest reference surface on the barrel that's going to help me get this bead sight drilled in as close to exactly 12 o'clock as possible. Okay, so I want to get this bead sight mounted center of the barrel, top dead center. So 12 o'clock position in the middle of the y-axis of the barrel. Okay, so this lug right here is a square surface that this barrel's mounted to, and this is at the 6 o'clock position, and it is what holds the ejector and where the locking lug comes in, and it's just a good true reference surface for me to use. Okay, so I clamp that. I got a couple 1, 2, 3 blocks in the machinist jack right here, and I have indicated with my edge finder and found the middle of this barrel, and I moved my drill bit back 150 thousandths of an inch from the end approximately, and we're going to drill our bead sight. Okay, Brownells has this wonderful kit that you can buy for your bead sights. They used to have them that came with taps and whatnot. They don't anymore. I think they discontinued those. But this right here is the kit. So there's 8 different, trying to get out of the glare, apologize for the movement. There's 8 different sizes of bead sights, starting at a number 10, and going all the way to a number 17. Okay. Flip these over. You see these number 17s, pretty big. Number 10s are a little bit smaller. The thread pitches on these vary between a 6x48 thread per inch and a number 3x56 threads per inch. Okay, those seem to be the 2 standard threads. I'm choosing to do a 6x48 on this. I think the one that I pulled out was a 3x56. I don't have a 356 tap, so I'm using what I have. I got a 648, so we're doing a 648 bead. There's different ways to mount shotgun beads. Some are threaded, some are a friction fit, and there's a special reamer that you use to get the hole the correct shape after you drill it out. And then you just take some Loctite and a punch and press it in place. That's that. So here's our setup. I'm gonna go ahead and get my camera positioned, and you guys can watch me drill it. So because I've got so much hangover from my vise, the end of this is not properly supported for up and down load. I don't know the proper term. So what I've done is I put this machinist jack in here to help bear some of that load, so my part doesn't deflect down too much while I'm trying to drill and potentially cause a situation where my drill bit's going to break. So I'm going to get my cutting oil and get this fired up, get her drilled. And just to cover my bases here, I know some of you guys really good about making sure I got my stuff done right, and I appreciate that. My X and Y axis are locked, and zero out my X axis here on the DRO. The Y axis, zero that out, because I'm at my center point, and that's what I want my zero position to be. So as far as the machine is concerned, where the drill bit's at, that's my zero point. Turn some light on so I can see. Here we go. Cutting oil. Gentle pressure. Okay. Now we're going to switch to our drill bit. We're doing a 648. So our drill of choice is, I believe, number 31 is the drill bit of choice. Always spin that chuck the wrong way. And yes, I am taking the time to make sure that each one of the holes in the chuck is, I'm equally tensioning. So, okay, now I haven't moved anything, so this drill bit is still on center. We're going to drill this out, and then we're going to tap it. That simple. All right. Get air. Now, you'll need to excuse me just a second because I have to go get my spring-loaded tap guide. I'm going to drop my table down, do a tool change, and we'll be off to the races. Real quick, I know I've gone over this before, but I want to show you guys how my quill works on my mill. This is a Wells Index 645. So here is the oh crap, I can't even think of the name of it now. Drawbar for the mill quill. On a Bridgeport, it's not captured, so once you undo the collet, you can just pull it out. This is captured with this cap nut, and this is actually at the top of the drawbar. So as I loosen that up, it tensions against the top of this cap nut, and at the same time pushes out the tool. So I'm going to leave this right here. Reposition my camera so you can see that tool. But you'll see it pop down. Yep, there it went. I prefer this type of quill because I don't need to have a hammer to beat on that nut and potentially deform it, and it's just less wear and tear on the machine. Okay, got our tap guide, bigger drill chuck. Okay, I'm gonna drop my table down just a little bit more, a lot bit more. Like I said, I got a number 648 right here. Now, with these smaller taps, you got to be a little more careful, okay? Because there is always a risk that you're going to break this tap off. Because it's just smaller and more fragile, right? So I'm going to tension tap guide. Good, you guys can still see good. All right, we're going to gently start our tap. And I like using these small tap handles for this because I'm able to get a good feel. Make sure I'm not running it too hard and potentially open myself up to a situation where I'm going to break it. Let me tell you something, you do not want to have to deal with a broken tap. What this tap guide does is it just helps guide this in straight. Okay, so I'm not twisted at all. And we're in, and it's as simple as that, folks. Okay. That up. Get the table down a little bit so I got a little clearance. One tap out. And here we go. My customer wanted this barrel cut down to about 20 inches because they were wanting to make a single shot shotgun that'd be good for keeping in a backpack, for survival stuff, for camping, or whatever. Bear with me a second here, and we'll get our bead sight out, test fit it. So I have a couple different taps. I prefer high-speed steel carbide. These are some I got off of eBay. Just a set of high carbon steel taps. Number 648, and I typically use these for chasing threads or drilling and tapping softer steel. This is a set, hope I can get the focus right, of premium taps I got from Brownells, and it's a 2-tap set. Has a starting set and a bottoming tap, so I can tap as close to the bottom of the hole as possible, which is really important when you're tapping a hole that you haven't been able to drill all the way through the material. Alright, so pick our bead sight here. We go with the brass one. I want to try and pick something that's close to what was on there before. I'll pick this one. It's 130 thousandths. So these bead sights, you'll notice that the threads on them are pretty long. So after we get this in there and set, I'm going to have to go in with a file and file off the excess that's sticking out of the bottom of the barrel. That's just the nature of it. So we'll put some Loctite on there, Loctite it in, but there's the finished product. Okay, before I shut this off, I'm going to take you over to the bench. Down the barrel, see how much I got to file off. I'll take you over to the bench. I'm going to show you a way that you guys can do this at home without the fancy tools that I have. It's not everybody has a milling machine, and sometimes you just got to drill a bead sight, you know what I mean? So one thing that all of us have access to is a bench vise. All right. One thing you can do, and it may take you a little bit of doing depending on your situation, but you can make sure that your bench vise is level. Okay, and one of the important things here is to have at least one reference surface level. So I can take this bubble level, and my vise isn't quite level. I'll move you a little closer so you can see that. Okay, see how we're not quite level? We're riding that one side of the line. And it's not consistent all the way across. So one thing that I would need to do is I would need to come in here underneath the attachment points and I would need to shim my bench vise until I got it level. Another thing you could do is put your bolts in and then have another nut and washer on the underside of this foot so you can adjust the height and tip the vise in whatever way you need to get it level. So you get it leveled, okay? And we're going to take, again, this is our square reference surface right here. I would advise using pads. Put it in my vise like that. Okay. Alright, so I know that I have a square surface. Alright. Every vise has these two handles right here that allow you to swivel the vise. So I'm going to swivel it to where it's over my bench. And because I've got a lot of material hanging out over the edge of the bench, I'm going to use some things to block and shim up underneath it. It needs to be something fairly sturdy. I mean, it doesn't need to be like a jack or anything. So I'm just taking stuff I have here in the shop. So I've got these, this little anvil. I've got some aluminum. What else do I have here? It's mostly flat. Clean off this piece of steel. It's a piece of steel I have laying around that I cut my T-nut for my tool post out of. Okay, so right there, it's probably a little fat. So what else can we use? What else can we use? I got a different piece of metal. Everybody has stuff like this laying around the garage they can just use, right? Okay. And now this wedge. So I can come under here with this wedge, and it would be better to use something wood. Okay. That's a built tower basically to support the end of that. And I understand this looks hillbilly and redneck, but hey, when you don't have a machine shop, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. Okay. Otherwise, you're going to end up paying somebody like me $50 to put in a bead sight. All right. If you don't want to do that, it's the way around it. The next thing you want to do is locate top dead center on your barrel. Okay. So how do we do that? Well, that's where it gets a little tough because you're dealing with a circle, not a square. One thing you can do, everybody's got some kind of carpenter square, okay? You get this tower out of the way. And this is a machinist ruler, but everybody has a ruler or a measuring tape. And I can take and I can measure this barrel, and this barrel is approximately 7/8 of an inch wide. Okay, half of 7/8, 7/16. 7/8 is 14/16, and half of 14 is 7. So I have this thing here set on that. We're going to go to a half an inch and 1/16 less, so it's 7/16. And I have found the center axis of my barrel. Okay. Now I can put a level on that, you know, try and make sure like a little bubble level.
You might find those in a kit that you got to mount a TV bracket to your wall. A lot of times they come with a little bubble level. I have a couple that I keep here in my shop for working on rifle scopes. So I can take that and I can put that on there, and then I can take a marker and I can put a mark right here about where top dead center's at. Okay, all the tools I'm using right now probably would have cost me less than $250 to go buy, and they're probably tools that I would have bought anyway to keep in my shop, because guys like to have tools. So you get that measured, you get it marked, you build your tower, you get your spot drill, you take a punch, you take a punch and a hammer, make a dimple, come in here with your spot drill, drill your hole, tap your hole, put your shotgun bead sight in. Okay, so again, this is a quick down and dirty way to mount a bead sight if you don't have a milling machine and some precision measuring equipment. If you have a simple shotgun barrel that's not like your prized Benelli that you're going to go skeet shooting with, you're just wanting to get a bead sight put back in, you know, something that you got at the pawn shop for one of your kids to take out rabbit hunting. This is a good way to fix things at home if you have to. If you're one of these self-reliance guys that doesn't like to depend on other people to do things for you, this is a good way to do this. It's got its own risks. It's not perfect. You're going to need to, you know, use some principles of marksmanship to find proper point of aim, point of impact afterwards. But you know, this is a viable option. So anyway, good grief, we're at 32 minutes. I hope this was helpful. I understand this was a little bit longer. I appreciate you sticking with me. I threw a lot of information at you. If you have comments, like I always say, keep them respectful, throw them at me. I'll love them. Good conversation, good discussion helps, you know, send knowledge to people that need it. So hope you guys have a good day. Look forward to seeing you on the next one.